Hello, everyone. Taser2 here, and welcome back to the Lads podcast. This is episode 5. Me and Jamie are back here with
Hi.
some great stories and news for you today.
Yeah.
So let's bit of preface first. I was going to do the history of ice cream
I thought that was a fun
for
idea.
this episode,
Do that next time. That would be fun.
but something happened at work. I just wanted to tell this work story. It's very fun and interesting. So it was about like 8:30, 9 o'clock last night.
Okay.
My brother was leaving because he had to go to school the next day, and and this guy comes in. I'm starting. I wasn't here for this, so I'm just kind of collecting because I was on the other side of the store. Because it was like the back areas, and I was on the front. I was on the front of house. So this guy, he enters through the shipping door that was unlocked for some reason, and he goes in like the back area. And one of my coworkers asks if he needs anything, and he attempts to sell him drugs. So he leads him out of the back area towards my manager, and my manager starts to keep him busy, ordering him like 9 espressos and bringing him to the front. I work at a gas station, by the way. So with like one of those like food preparations, kind of like think Wawa,
I think Wawa.
think of Wawa, and and yeah. So this guy just kind of bring him to the front, and we he starts checking out. I ring him up, and my boss goes. She goes. What do you got? Because he goes. I don't got no cash, but I'll show you what I got. And he goes. And my boss is like, what do you got? What do you got? And he's like, oh yeah, I got the kosher stuff right here, and just pounds of weed.
Fun.
He just puts pounds of weed on the table. Probably cost that guy a lot of money. That's probably why he doesn't have cash.
Right.
So we just continue to keep him busy as he's pulling random stuff out of his backpack. And we don't know what he's gonna pull out, and this guy's clearly not stable, so we're like dialing the police.
Yeah.
Just to get them there. And he pulls out his Air Jordans. He's got like Air Jordans, some weed, some condom. Just one.
Just one. Just sitting there.
So and we just keep him busy, and there's this one guy. He's a regular, and he's unfortunately he has Alzheimer's. So we always try to help him out with some stuff, and just so I'm like, I like lead this guy away,
Right.
and I'm like, I like make this guy a new cup of coffee while my boss keeps making him busy, keeping him busy, the other guy busy, and eventually the cops come, and all is well. And I did not prepare a report, but I know there is a lot to talk about for One D. I don't want to spoil it. But I know there's a lot to talk about it for your topic. I almost spoiled it.
There's a bit to talk about with the new announcement that D&D has recently made. But
Wizards of the Coast, or WotC.
Yeah, so WotC. I like WotC.
WotC, as we refer to it.
I didn't know we referred to it like that, but I do now. I do now. WotC.
Not everyone refers to it as WotC.
I think that's funny. But I guess we're moving swiftly on from that beautiful story.
Yes. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. What did the cops have to say? Like, what did they take him off somewhere? Or...
It was interesting. They did just kind of take him away. They didn't like they didn't like slap handcuffs on him and say
Right.
you're coming with us. Like they collected all of the drugs
Right.
and put it all
Mhm.
evidence, collected it into evidence,
Right.
and took this guy away, which he was very calm about.
Didn't resist. Nice.
He did not resist. Some people do stuff absolutely insane. This guy was
Mhm.
just, he seemed talking very very nice.
It's a cool car ride.
As he said, they like their energy.
Yeah.
Um, it, they appreciated the energy
Yeah.
that
I'm
the
sure they.
cops had.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Appreciated those guys' energy. They didn't like the energy of the old of like a customer, an older customer.
Uh huh.
As we write, um, he bought something and we like wrote. My boss wrote on the box, "Call 911." He's like, "Yo, I did not like that guy's energy.
I did not. I didn't vibe. He didn't pass the vibe check.
He didn't pass the vibe check."
Well, it is a crazy story. I'm glad to have heard it. Um, but yeah, I guess we are swiftly moving on now
Mm-hmm.
to the the announcement made by Watsy.
Watsy.
Watsy, the next air quotes edition of Dungeons and Dragons. They're not calling it an edition anymore because they no longer see the use of like 5e or the speculative 6e and such. They're just going with one D&D, one unified edition of Dungeons and Dragons. And they said this will be fully rolled out by 2024, but starting this month they're starting like playtesting and such. But basically, what it is an updated edition or an update to fifth edition. Essentially, everything that you've been playing in fifth edition will still work in this one D&D format, but they they're updating like the core rules. They're updating the books, and they're taking what players have been like sort of complaining about for the past like 10 years since 5th edition was rolled out and just making those official. Like for example, there's what's interesting to me is they removed some races. They removed like half orcs and half elves
They just removed those entirely.
because yes, because now you can do half anything just by combining races.
Oh, so now it's just like a more, like
Hmm.
they did say, at least when I watched the announcement trailer,
Hmm.
that they were saying about making D&D as a game more flexible.
Right. And that does seem to be what's going on here, especially the updated spells list. I find that very interesting. No longer are there like wizard spells or like warlock spells.
It's just spells.
There are arcane spells, there are divine spells, and there are primal spells. So classes such as like wizards and sorcerers, warlocks, and bards pick from arcane spells, just a compiled list of all the spells that any of them could have, and then paladins and clerics get divine spells, and then druids get primal spells like earth based and such. The thing I find interesting about this is that Eldritch Blast isn't on the list anywhere. I expect that means they're making that a warlock feature,
Probably.
which would be very
It's
cool.
an intrinsic. If it's an
Mhm.
intrinsic warlock feature, it would be interesting. Does that mean will they still make it a cantrip?
I imagine so, but like an at will thing. I hope it's flavored to the subclass this time
Yeah.
because I really didn't like what was it? It's like a D6 or a D8 necrotic.
Yeah. It's like always.
It's always necrotic damage,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense for a lot of the pacts.
Yeah.
I feel like I like there was some like home game or home rules that people made where like if you're a pact of the Great Old One, it's psychic damage and stuff like that. I think that would be awesome if they did more stuff like that. Um, but moving away from like spells and stuff, like they've updated several races. More specifically, they don't call sub races anymore. They're called lineages, and some of them, like I believe it's the gnomes or the halflings, no longer have any like as they call lineages. There is just gnome. I do believe it's gnome. Um, Maybe it is halfling. Yeah, it's halfling because previously you had like the lightfoot and the stout halfling.
Yeah.
Now it's essentially just the Lightfoot with like some features of Stout. But they've also added a new race. I don't entirely remember what it's called, but it's like a sort of like an angelic race, like one of the Celestials, but it has an animal head and wings.
That sounds fun.
It's very interesting. And but essentially there have been like some races that have been nerfed and some that have been buffed. Like humans, um, that's something else they've added. Humans start with a feat at level 1 now, and
So instead of running variant human,
yeah,
you
you
just
just
run
human,
human.
human, right? And feats are they aren't even just like an optional thing anymore. Like your background gives you feats now. And something else interesting about how they've updated backgrounds is that you no longer get racial trait bonuses. Like tieflings get like a +1, +2 to charisma. You no longer have stuff like that. That's determined by your background now.
Fun.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you could totally have like an orc sage or
Yeah.
something that has like a +2 to intelligence and such
That
like that.
that's fun, especially since if you want to have like someone who like breaks the racial boundaries
Yeah,
of
exactly.
their chosen race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
so yeah, that sounds like more fun.
Yeah, they've done a lot of that where it's like no longer is it like restricted to what race you pick and such like that. Like you can
Like
mix
your
and
race
match.
isn't while your race does give you some features,
It does. It
it
does.
doesn't give you like, you know, it's not so integral to the strategy that you can just kind of be whoever you want.
Right. Right.
Which I feel like going into like game development now as like a modern thing,
Mhm.
that's kind of a good way to modernize your
Right.
game
Right.
is to make it so you can be whoever you want because people
Mhm.
really like that individuality feel.
Right. Right. I quite like how they're overhauling that aspect. There are um interesting rules that I've seen a lot of DMs run, like on the DM side of this, that they're changing some slight rules that I'm not entirely sure how I feel about because I know in our games we roll DM can roll crits.
DM can roll crits, yeah.
That's not a core rule anymore. It's no longer that DMs can roll crits at all. If a monster rolls in that 20, that's not a crit anymore.
So it's not a critical hit anymore.
Not a critical hit for the DM anymore. I
So
I
DMs are just not allowed to roll crits.
correct. I don't remember. I think they reasoned it as like recharge abilities that
Yeah,
monsters have.
monsters do have recharge abilities that deal a lot of damage.
Exactly, and I think that was their reasoning for getting rid of monster crits. Um,
That makes sense,
mhm.
but also crits.
I also am a fan of crits. Crit makes crit. Something else I find very interesting about how crits work in general now,
Yeah,
or
did they
even
change it?
slightly. Typically people play where if you roll in that one, it automatically fails. If you roll in that 20, and it automatically succeeds for anything. Previously in 5th edition, this had only officially applied to like attack rolls,
Yeah.
and we just sort of made up that skill checks.
Critical hits don't really
Mhm.
like nat 20s don't like
Mhm.
in the game. It's just 4 attacks.
Right,
And I believe that's it.
that is it.
I don't think natural 20s on skill checks work.
Correct.
Yeah,
Currently,
currently.
but in the new edition, they're no longer saying roll an attack roll, a skill check, or a saving throw. They call those D20 checks or like a stat check, and it's just bundled into all three. And now the crit system works on all D20 checks. So
Cool.
that does mean if you roll in that 20 on a skill check, you auto succeed. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that because there is DC 30 checks, and it feels like you roll in that 20, then you've just completely ignored the DC 30. But still, it's kind of how
I
they already
mean,
play it anyway.
if you're doing a DC 30 skill check, you're trying to make it impossible.
Right, that is called nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Mm.
If you're doing a DC 30 skill check, you're either doing like the person that's making this skill check either has to roll a nat 20.
Right, and have like a 20 in that stat
Yeah.
because plus 10 modifier.
Right. To have like they have to have the plus 10 modifier.
Mhm.
So no matter what, if you're rolling a nat 20, this is without like bonuses and proficiencies or whatever.
Right.
like they're going to have a maxed out stat and a nat 20 to do that under the normal rules
Here,
anyway.
I'm pretty sure you can only even have a plus 10 modifier
Yeah,
if you're
20 is the max stat
for players.
for for players.
But
Yeah.
I don't have the PHB with me, but if I remember correctly, last I checked, plus 10 modifier is when you have a 30 stat.
Yeah, well, I believe proficiencies still apply. I don't think skill bonus. I think skill bonuses can go over 10 if I'm not mistaken with proficiencies.
Probably, yeah. Probably okay, yeah. But yeah, it's interesting that they're just like, oh, the fans already play or the players already play like that anyway. Let's just make it an official
Yeah,
rule.
might as well make it
Mhm.
official.
A lot of the changes are mainly terminology based. Um, for what was the one example I saw that was very prominent was the new slowed condition. Instead of when you move over difficult terrain, it says that your speed is halved and such. It's now you have the slowed condition when you move over difficult terrain,
So now it's
which
a
is
actual condition
right,
instead of just difficult
right.
terrain being.
So they no longer have to say if you move this area is treated as difficult terrain, which means you have this. It's just you have the slowed
Yeah,
effect,
that
and
seems
that
way
just
easier.
has all of everything it's already had just tied into it. And they changed grappled a little bit too, um, where it's now it's still the when your speed is reduced to 0, but now it's also with disadvantage on attacks against anyone except the person grappling you.
Yeah, I thought that was already the rule.
Apparently not.
Yeah,
Apparently grappled currently only is your speed is reduced to 0.
yeah, but I thought you still had disadvantage on attacks.
Uh,
Yeah,
I don't have the PHB with me, so I couldn't
yeah.
check. But yeah, there are plenty of interesting. I haven't even touched on the digital aspect.
Oh yeah, that's really fun. I was
Yeah,
going to mention that, but I forgot about it because we were talking about rules
yeah,
and stuff.
all the new updated rules and such. The online physical bundles are very interesting.
Yeah,
Basically their main thing is online players, people who play online, currently have to like go between like Roll20 and like D&D Beyond. Well, they own D&D Beyond
yeah.
now,
Now
but
they own D&D
right.
Beyond.
But like they have to go you have to go through all these different websites and such to play online. They want to just be able to go onto dnd.com and just have everything there.
Yeah,
Like
they want to be the one-stop shop.
right, they want to have like and they've even rolled out like the new virtual like tabletop as well with their new with the dungeon
Wait, is that out
setup.
now in the
No, it's not
playtest?
out. It
Yeah,
might be available for playtest, but it's not out.
yeah.
Not like
I know it
official
wasn't
release.
fully released because
No,
you still got another 2 years.
right until 2024. But yeah, currently they're mainly working on like if you buy an official like campaign setting or an
You
adventure,
you get the digital.
it gives you the digital minis, the digital like maps and everything like that, all the settings. And what I like about this is that you can edit the terrain however you'd like as the DM, which is very cool. I assume that it means you can make your own maps, which is good for homebrew
Yeah, I
campaigns.
am really excited to see what we got there.
Right.
Like I play tabletop normally,
Mhm.
but with everyone going to college and such, it will be nice to have that digital thing there, or just to make the maps.
Right.
Because sometimes I will not want to use tabletop battle maps because they take a really long time to make and they can be expensive.
Right. And that's the really good thing about this new system that they're making now is it seems to be very easy and it's really pretty. That's got to be talked about. They're using Unreal Engine
Yeah, the
to
new Unreal Engine, Unreal
exactly,
Engine 5.
and it looks really pretty. And they really emphasized making it look like you're looking at minis. They
Yeah,
don't want it to look like you're looking at like just characters. It looks like a tabletop
yeah.
set.
They don't want you playing a video game. They want you to play their
Right.
game.
That's exactly what they said. They don't want this to feel like a video game. You're playing a digital tabletop game. And I really like that. There is some concern here, of course. Big company wants to take all of everything that already exists and make it their thing. and just have that be the one-stop shop. Microtransactions.
Microtransactions, the
Right.
scourge of anything.
Right. So they're talking about mini customization, and so the concern there is like
They're gonna be like 95 cents if you want this hair preset number
exactly
7.
exactly. That's one of the main concerns, and the other being if you want to create a custom map, maybe that'll be like
That
a
will
thing
cost
too.
money.
Right.
Yeah.
But regardless, even with that, I feel like with what they're providing, it's still really cool.
Really nice.
It's helpful. It seems convenient and easy to use, as far as I know. We're not playtesters.
Yeah, especially since like it nothing about that is out yet.
Exactly.
Now the new rules for 1D&D, those are out. You can playtest.
Yeah, you can they're available.
They are available, I believe, on D&D Beyond.
Probably.
That's probably where they're available.
Mm-hmm.
But we can, yeah.
I don't really remember too much more off the top of my head.
But anyway, you can playtest them.
Yeah, you can playtest them. They're available.
You can try them out. You can tell wizards what they are doing wrong.
Like I said, they said like in about a month they're sending out a survey. You know, what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see.
Maybe we'll try it.
Yeah.
Even though we don't play D&D when everyone's out of college.
Right.
But we should just try to play a game.
A game.
We'll run like Lost Mine of Felvinar with the rules.
Yeah. They said that's one of the examples they used. That campaign will still work, so that'd be fun. I would say a lot of them were like the Nat 20 and stuff. We already use that.
Yeah, that's like stuff we already use.
Right. So it shouldn't be too hard to get used to. And most of it is still just the base 5th edition rules.
Yeah, and hey, if you don't like certain rules, just don't use them.
Yeah, just don't use them. But home games, that's what they tell you on the first page.
Yeah, that's the great thing about D&D is you can just get rid of things.
Yeah.
Like we don't like using encumbrance.
Yeah, we never. I considered it once, but it doesn't fit my setting, so I just don't use it.
You wanna carry 900 pounds of equipment? Go ahead.
Yeah, that one. Although that using encumbrance does make the bag of holding useful, so that's
cool.
Even still, you can do fun things with the bag of holding even without an encumbrance.
Yeah.
So, but the one you suggested, having the DM roll death saves, that's fun.
So who was it? It was
D&D Shorts.
Yeah, D&D Shorts on YouTube. He made a video. By the way, D&D Shorts is a very fun person.
Yeah,
and he looks like a fun person.
He looks like my my trade school teacher.
Yeah,
same beard and everything.
He does. But yeah, D&D Shorts on YouTube. He has this short because D&D Shorts.
D&D Shorts.
They you roll the death saves out in the open as the DM, which
out in the open.
I believe that's what it is.
I imagine because
behind
so
the
your players don't know.
Yeah, so you roll the death saves behind the screen and don't tell them what their death saves are.
It makes death so much scarier for the players.
It makes death so much scarier because, like real life, you don't know when it's coming.
Yeah, your DM could just at any moment be like, "Here's your D6s." What are you thinking for your new character?
Just you seem like an elf person.
The thing our other DM buddy did when my character faced off Grumsh himself when he's like, "I want you to roll a few D6s for me."
You're just like,
and I'm just sitting there rolling without a clue as to what's going on, and I'm like, "Is that good?" And he's like, "I hope you're recording these. These are your new stats for your new character."
It's just like write down 17.
Yeah, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" And then I clicked at the end. I'm like, "Oh, I'm rolling a new character." Like that makes death so much scarier, and I love that rule. And that's what's so great about D&D is you can just do stuff like that. You can just throw in a rule like that.
People just make whatever rules they want, really. Yeah. And that's kind of what I like about it.
Yeah, it's really great.
Now, this new digital frontier that Wizards is exploring, I do have to say, they have been doing a pretty good job at it. I'm not going to say they're doing incredible or anything. But they are doing, like they did Magic the Gathering Arena.
Right.
They used to have, was it Magic Online? But Don't get me started there. Um, yeah, so they have Magic the Gathering Arena, which is available on every device you could own.
Mhm.
And it's not the best in the world, but it's not bad either. Some people are upset about certain cards not being available. They're like old
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
Or like older cards, not really available right now. They're not available on Arena, and they also have Arena only cards.
Mhm.
Cards that have things like 5 sides.
Oh, yeah,
They have
that's
like
kinda hard to do.
they have like 5-sided cards and
Yeah, that'd be hard to do physically.
and cards that have perpetual ability
Mhm.
tokens. So you know how you'll have like this card gains Death Touch,
Right.
and but then they have cards that this card perpetually gains Death Touch, which means that no matter what, even if it changes zones, it still has Death Touch.
So even if it's, like, in the graveyard or
Yeah,
something, it's okay, that's cool.
which would be harder if somebody plays a card that's like shuffle target
Mhm.
card into library.
Right.
Like it would be hard to do
Hard to keep track of it.
on
Mhm.
yeah. So yeah, it would just be hard to keep track of on the tabletop. Certain things you just can't do.
Right.
Other things like they also have spellbook cards,
Okay.
which are cards that when you play them, they do a thing, and then you draft a card from their spellbook, which is basically a sideboard. It's like a 15 card
Hmm,
lot,
cool.
and you draft one of those cards. So you draw 3 out of it, pick one.
Mhm.
So that would be harder to do because if you had a bunch of those cards, you would have to have like every card in Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cards that you couldn't do in like physical,
Mhm.
and some people like it, some people hate it.
I think it's neat.
I am neutral. I am like I don't know if like especially for like deck building, if you're
Mhm.
doing something on Arena and it becomes meta and you're like, "Oh, I want to see if I can get that card." And you go, "Oh shoot, it's Arena only." Or
Yeah.
this card, and they'll do like little tweaks to like certain cards like the
Mhm.
Druid class. They made the level 3 cost the same as the level 2.
Okay.
And what Druid class does is you gain life. The level 1 for it, like the passive one,
Mhm.
is you gain 1 life for each land you put down. Level 2 is you can put an additional land down each turn.
Mhm.
And level 3 is target you enchant target land. Land becomes a token with as much power and toughness as number of lands you control, and it's
That's
still a land.
that's really cool.
So, but they made that cost the same because on the tabletop it's 4-1,
Mhm.
like 4 and a green, and but on Arena it's 2 and a green.
I see. Yeah.
So I don't know why they made that decision. Why they made it cheaper.
Mhm.
Um, if anything, I feel like that's okay. Especially since the Druid class by itself is 1 and a green.
Mhm.
So all you gotta do is play 1 more mana, so you can get it in the next 2 turns.
Right.
Which with the classes level 3 ability is decently powerful. At least most of them are,
Hmm.
and a lot of them, first of all, they're permanent, so they stay on the field,
Okay, that's cool.
and they have passive abilities that help
Mhm.
you throughout the entire game, depending on how you build your deck. So I feel like it's important to not upset the balance on Arena with these new cards,
Mhm.
and to not like make it so it's more like a certain card is more OP on Arena than it is on the tabletop. Arena should be, I don't want to say it should be a tabletop simulator, but
Right.
it should be at least still realistic to what you would experience on the tabletop.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that.
Anyway, here we are at the 30-minute mark.
Oh, are we? Gosh.
we uh we we are we are at the 30-minute mark and we are running out of things to talk about.
I haven't even come up with a question yet.
As usual.
Yeah.
And here I am frantically searching for my notes.
Oh, fun.
There they are.
Oh, you have notes? Is this about ice cream?
No,
Okay.
it's not about ice cream. Everyone Google some stuff about ice cream. Do some live research.
Live research.
You want to? I have a question. I think it's I have a question time.
Oh, I have a question, except I don't have a question.
You don't have a question?
I don't have a question.
Okay, well I do.
Okay, we want to start?
This is also stolen from Angel Shive server.
Oh, okay, fine.
So, Jamie,
Mhm.
I have a question
What's your question?
that I didn't steal.
What's your question that you didn't steal?
Do you enjoy spicy food? And what is the spiciest thing you've eaten?
Ooh, oh boy. I do like spicy food, but I'm not good at handling it per se. I am one of those people who goes, "Ooh, mayonnaise is a little spicy." I'm one of those. I say that because I had a chicken sandwich last night with mayo on it, and I was like, "Ooh, this is actually getting to me." What?
A little bit of spice.
A little spicy, yeah. Like I'm not good with spice, but I do enjoy a good like chips and salsa and stuff. I saw we were at a grocery store once and they had the chip that's like it's like the single chip packaged in a coffin.
Yeah, the one chip challenge.
Yes, I was like, I want that so bad. And my buddy with me at the time, he's like, "Don't. I've had it. Don't." And I was like, "You can't stop me." He stopped me, but but I would love to try more spicy foods.
I don't know if I saw the one chip challenge this year. Where'd it go?
I didn't see it either.
Yeah, because it is in the summer they have it, right?
Typically, I think.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's in the summer.
Yeah, you're right. I haven't seen it, but then again, I don't.
Like I did see the Pachi brand. Isn't Pachi? How do you say it?
I have no idea.
How do you say the brand for the one chip challenge?
I don't know. I barely looked at it.
Yeah, I didn't see it this year.
Yeah, I haven't been to that store in a while, so I haven't seen it. But that's the only one I knew that.
Well, it's in like they put them in a lot of places.
I only ever saw it in
convenience stores
store
and stuff like that.
I've never seen it in a convenience store.
Yeah. We've had it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
But yeah, like I'm chill with spicy food. Well, I'm chill with spicy foods, but
yeah. So the spiciest thing you've eaten, what is it?
Oh boy. Man, I couldn't tell you. It must have been a long time ago because recent memory, it has to be my chicken sandwich with the mayo. But
mayonnaise, the spiciest thing you've ever eaten.
Okay. Yeah, I've not had too much spice, so I can't. I don't really have too many exotic spice options here.
I mean, I don't either.
But like, I've loaded my chicken up with like barbecue sauce because I love barbecue sauce.
Everyone loves
and it hurts my tongue every single time. So I'd have to say maybe like barbecue sauce chicken.
Barbecue sauce, but it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's. Yeah, I don't know how because I just don't like spicy food. Anything that's spicy, I just no. But something I do love is jalapeno poppers.
Ooh.
So they're jalapenos filled with mozzarella, wrapped in bacon.
That sounds really good.
And a heart attack waiting to happen.
I want to try it so bad.
Yeah, we used to have a garden, and we would grow jalapenos in it, and we make them.
You know, let's say we have hot peppers in my garden, and I've been waiting to try one. They are.
Yeah, so we haven't made them yet this year. Usually we make them like every year, like a couple times a year. But because they're kind of expensive to make with all the mozzarella and the bacon, it's a lot. It's a lengthy process as well just to make them. But yes, jalapeno poppers probably one of my favorite. Like I guess you'd call it a party food.
Yeah.
Like hors d'oeuvre.
Like I know. Yeah. Hors d'oeuvre.
You get all fancy.
Yeah.
But yeah, jalapeno poppers are probably one of my favorite like snack type things.
That is really good.
To make.
That does sound really good.
Despite the fact that it's spicy.
Yeah. So you're not a spice person.
Not a spice person at all.
Hmm.
I really just like buffalo sauce is
That's your
about
level.
where I'm
Yeah.
at. Anything more is just like
Mhm.
why do I want to hurt myself? Um, like if you ever had Takis, like
Not,
that's
no.
pretty much
I've had stale Takis. That's it.
stale Takis.
Stale Takis.
Like I here's the thing, like I like the idea of spicy food because it's
Mhm.
like chili and lime. That sounds
Ooh,
good,
that sounds good. Yeah.
but it's spicy. Like
Yeah.
why would I hurt myself?
Lingers in the mouth a bit too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mild mild Takis, which I believe exist.
Yeah.
Uh, I've never seen them.
I never go looking for Takis, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I need to find some mild Takis because I like the chili and lime flavor, but
Mhm.
I don't wanna
It's spice.
hurt myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate, but yeah, jalapeno poppers. If you haven't tried them and you have some time on your hands to make them, and a lot of jalapenos and mozzarella cheese and bacon,
I would love to try that. That sounds
yeah,
really good.
you give it a shot.
I will give it a shot.
Yes,
All right. Taylor,
yes,
I
Jamie.
have a question.
What is it?
If someone came up to you and said, "Hey, do that thing you do," what thing would pop into your head first?
That's a question. That's
I
a
know.
question and a half. Um, I don't really have a thing.
You don't have a thing? Oh, thingless. Ha ha. Thingless.
Well, what do you think? What do you think? Do I have a thing? What's my thing? I don't think I have a thing.
You're right. You don't really.
I don't
There's not
really
a thing that you do,
I don't
is
really
there?
have a thing
No. No.
except have cheesy magic plays. And pretty much all of my strategies are just cheese.
Yeah. Yeah, he was talking to me about one earlier in the car ride here. And it was just like what was the planeswalker you were talking
So
about?
it has Gideon, Champion of the Trials,
Mhm.
and Axis of Mortality. Gideon, Champion of the Trials ability is you can't lose when your life total is 0 or less.
Right.
You just can't lose.
Games just keep going.
Um, so Gideon, as long as Gideon's on the field, you don't lose. So you just use as many cards as possible, just lower your life total down to 0. Put Gideon on the field, and then you play a little card called Axis of Mortality. It's 4 and 2 white. At the beginning of your upkeep, exchange 2 players' life totals,
And that's an instant win right there if you have
and
0
that's your win
health.
con.
That's the kind of stuff he does in his free time. He just comes up with like plays like that.
I mean, I didn't come up with that one, but I saw it on a
Well,
deck list.
regardless, it's cool.
The deck list was called "Life as a Resource."
That's a good name.
But yeah, I saw it in a deck list, and I go, "Ooh, that's fun."
That is a
And
fun
you can
one.
do it with a couple of different cards too. There's an enchantment called, I think it's Necromancer's Keep or something like that.
Mhm.
Basically, you can't lose when your life total is 0, but instead of like it's a little cheaper.
Mhm.
I think it's 2 and 2 blacks. And like you can't lose when your life total is 0, but when you take damage when your life is below 0,
Mhm.
you discard you. I think it's you discard, destroy cards, like just basically remove
Right.
them. So basically, your life is now your library, like your entire library.
That's really cool.
So as long as you still have cards on the field, you can play the game.
Mhm.
I think I think I don't know if you can use your library. I think you can just blow up lands and basically anything on the field you can remove.
Okay.
So it will force you at some points if you run out of cards, you'll have to remove that card, and then you'll have to lose. I forget what it's called, but I think I'll look it up.
It's like a way of staving off death at a cost. I like that. Gives me lich vibes. I like it.
I think this is lit. It's just called Lich for 4 black.
Oh, that's right.
Oracle. Yeah. As Lich enters the battlefield, you lose life equal to your life total. If you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. If you would gain life, draw that many cards instead. Whenever you're dealt damage, sacrifice that many non-token permanents. If you can't, you lose the game. When Lich is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you lose the game.
That's cool. I really like that card. I mean, it's very hit or miss, but it's cool.
It might be Lich. It might be a different card, but it's basically the same sentiment.
That I really like that.
So as
It's
long as you have
cool.
stuff on the field that aren't tokens,
Your life becomes tied to the cards that you have.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
So it's good when you're trying to not die.
While also actively killing yourself.
Like, so if you're like sitting there at 1 life
Mhm.
and your opponent is like, you know, and you just have a bunch of land, it's like the end of the game.
Mhm.
You can just be like, you know what? I don't want to lose right now.
You just choose not to. It's really cool.
Yeah. It's a really fun card.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's your
Lich.
thing.
My thing is alternate win conditions and just cheap cards.
Yeah.
I mean, Lich isn't a cheap card. It's actually expensive because it's old.
Mm.
Anyway, this has been a really janky show. It's been.
Say I haven't answered
Yeah.
my
Answer your
thing.
question. We went on
Yeah.
a tangent.
We did go on a tangent, but I have a few things I think. There's just a few things I do that people are like, "Oh, you're the one who does that thing."
You're the one who does the
Like
thing.
I
You're the
can't
guy.
show most of them, but I can do that thing.
The thing with the fingers.
And that thing.
You-
I've probably not shown that one off before, but like that's a thing I can do.
You do like tricks with your gang signs.
I draw gang signs and I do fun party tricks. I know how to fold like very intricate paper airplanes. That's another thing I can do.
And my favorite one is this.
The voice.
The weird voice.
The
The
weird
call
voice.
of the void.
I wonder how that sounds on there.
The void calls.
Yeah, the void
probably,
calls.
Probably like that.
I hope so because I love doing that thing. I like scaring people with that when they don't expect it. I was in it was in the back of someone's truck once.
Just answer their caller ID from like Timbuktu, and you just answer it.
Hello, David.
Something like that. Just guess their name. They're like, "That's not even my name, but who are you?" And just hang up. But I was in the back of someone's truck once, and we were driving somewhere. It was very dark, and we saw a deer out in the road. And they were like, "Ooh, deer!" And I went,
Robert,
like,
my friend.
and the truck swerved. They were like, "Oh my god, what is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just a fun thing I can do." And they're like, "Don't do that again." And I'm like,
Noted.
No, it did.
so yeah, there's like a few things that I do that they're like, "Oh, you're the one who does that thing."
That does the voice from not this plane.
Yeah. But other than that, like I think that would probably be the first one that comes to mind is that voice or the one hand thing, like the especially waving like this that I do.
Yes.
Yeah. I did that at my family reunion.
I don't know.
once,
It's
they're like,
just
Mhm.
it's just hard to do for some reason. So he puts down they put down their index finger and their pinky finger, but they also
while doing the live long and prosper thing.
yeah, while doing Spock,
Uh-huh.
but they can still like keep them together.
Yeah. I'll say like if we did thumbnails, just get a picture of that and be like, "That's it."
We can take a picture of it and put it in the show.
Yeah. Just like bam, right there. There it is.
For anyone on YouTube.
Yeah, because
Pop it on the.
yeah. Are you getting a picture of it right now?
We might as well, right?
Yeah.
I think I'll take a picture later, like
Okay.
on the table or
Okay.
something, just so it's like better with the light.
Let's say you want to.
I'll take one later.
Okay.
But
Just remember to. But yeah, that bam right there. Edit
that
bam.
thing we'll put in the editor hamster that lives in my basement.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. It would either be
The editor that lives in my basement. That's also just me, except I don't live in a basement.
So yeah, if my go-to thing, if someone said, "Hey, do that thing that you do," it would either be that or the voice thing.
The voice.
Yeah, probably the voice.
The call of the void.
The call of the void.
Like that's one of my favorite things to do. But yeah.
See, I did have someone possessed by the void in one of my D&D games.
I don't
And-
remember that.
No, the old lady.
Oh yeah, the old lady.
So
I remember
there
her.
was this homebrew subclass I found called the Void subclass
Mhm.
for Warlock. It's like a pact,
Right.
Pact of the Void. And
I remember this bit.
and I just had this little old lady. It's the Void calls you, child.
The void calls.
The Void calls. Void calls. It demands blood.
I was gonna say you're doing this old lady voice. It sounds like Jordan Peterson over here. The void, it calls to you.
The Void.
The void is
calls
calling.
to the
I
void.
hear it constantly in my head.
Jordan Peterson is a funny little lad.
So, I like watching his stuff and going, haha.
No, it's like, did you hear the thing where he was saying he like drank apple cider and couldn't sleep for a month?
That was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, it was on
wasn't
it was on Joe Rogan,
Yes.
and Joe Rogan's like,
apple cider. Really?
Really?
He's like, really? Apple
he was
cider?
like, yeah, I couldn't sleep
Yeah,
for
I
a
couldn't
month.
sleep for a month.
Yeah.
Apple cider.
And Joe Rogan was like, that's like a turn of phrase, right? No.
No, it was apple cider. The drink, apple cider.
He was so adamant about how he couldn't sleep for
It's
a
like,
month.
beware. Do not
He
drink.
couldn't sleep for an entire month, and that would you would be no more. You wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be here.
You would die.
You wouldn't be here, Jordan, to talk about it. What a. That's why I say, without getting too political, he's a funny little lad.
He's a funny little lad. I will give you that. He's a funny little lad. I like looking at his stuff and going, haha.
Funny little lad.
Yes.
What if one day he's like, you know what, all that stuff.
Do the voice.
you know what, all that stuff. Yeah, it's a joke.
It's a joke. It's a gag.
It's a joke. It's a gag.
I had you all fooled.
I had you all
didn't I?
fooled the whole time.
Trans rights, actually.
Jordan Peterson for trans rights.
What the weirdest timeline.
Doctor Strange is just like,
Yeah.
I've seen 1,000 timelines and only one.
Only
Jordan Peterson supports trans rights.
And Jordan, he's over there like, no. I deny the accusations. No.
1,000 different timelines.
Oh man. What time are we at currently on this podcast?
We got our hour.
We got our hour.
Yeah, we
You
got.
want to
our
wrap
hour.
it up here?
Yeah, let's get it on out of here. This has been the Lads Podcast. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Jordan Peterson would also like it if you.
He would not like it. There's a queer person on this podcast. He would not enjoy.
He wouldn't accept the.
Cancel them.
He secretly supports it as Peter Jordanson.
Okay. Yeah, we should wrap it up after that Peter Jordanson bit.
Peter Jordanson supports
There's
this
gonna be-
podcast.
There's gonna be an NPC in my D&D campaign called Peter Jordanson. He's like he teaches at a university or something.
Great.
Yeah,
And Peter Jordanson supports trans rights.
he does.
And he also likes this podcast. So if you liked it somehow,
Yeah.
leave that like. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see y'all in a couple weeks with the next one. Once again, share this thing because that's how we're gonna get big and have
funny.
have big podcast
Yeah.
like all the other people, and we're gonna get
All
the
those
Spotify
others.
deal,
Yeah, and the big Lamborghini and
the $1 million Spotify deal
Yes.
that we all want. Of
Yeah.
course, this would be too much work.
Yeah.
Because
Can you
they'll be
imagine
like,
us doing that?
you'll have to upload like every day.
Exactly. We'd have to be here in this, not in this table, but like, can you imagine?
We had to
At
like
this table.
We would have to live at whatever studio.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be chill with that. Get a sleeping bag together and be like, all right, I live here now.
Jordan Peterson.
Peter Jordanson just walks in. He's like, I'm joining the podcast.
They're like, oh yeah, and this guy has to be here.
Yeah. He's like, he's part of your contract. Just give him like 15 minutes. Just ramble on.
And he drinks nothing but apple cider.
Yeah, it's his favorite.
Hey, you
drink.
want some water? No.
No, well, I'd take some apple cider,
cider?
please. Apple cider, please. Helps me sleep at night.
Water puts him in a coma for.
Yeah.
Water puts him in a coma for a week.
Yeah.
For a month, rather. All right, enough bashing on
Yeah,
Jordan Peterson. I'm
Someone said
ending
we
this
need to end this
podcast.
podcast. Bye.
Bye.